Chapter 291, Auction. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. So you are the young master of the Yan family. Zhang Yuochen seemed to be talking to himself as he looked at Yan Yanhuan. It was not his first encounter with a young master of the Yan family. Zhang Yuochen had met Yan Qingwu, who ranked 100th on the Earthboard. During the Earthboard test, he was the top master in the younger generation of the Yan family. Therefore, Zhang Yuochen had some impression of the Yan family. Chen Xie looked at Zhang Yuochen grinning. She wondered to herself, does he feel inferior? After all, Zhang Yuochen was definitely inferior to Yan Yanhuan in strength and family background. In this situation, Zhang Yuochen's talent seemed insignificant. Yan Yanhuan assumed Zhang Yuochen was intimidated by his status and lost interest at once. He is just a prince from an inferior commandery. He is absolutely shocked at my power, even without me doing anything. He is not a challenge at all, Yan Yanhuan thought. However, what he didn't know was that Zhang Yuochen had lost interest in fighting him after hearing about his status. Even the top master in the young generation of the Yan family wasn't able to defend against Zhang Yuochen's attack. What was the point of fighting with the so-called second best? Yan Yanhuan appeared to be very arrogant. He did not want to see Zhang Yuochen or the others anymore. He said, Sister Xia, the auction is about to begin. Why are we wasting our time here? Thinking about the auction, everyone was intrigued. Someone said, I heard that there would be several priceless space treasures. Do you have any interest, Master Yan? Yan Yanhuan stood erect. With a laugh, he said confidently, space treasures are precious. Only the Yan family with its deep pockets can obtain them. Sister Xia, you may pick one if you want. Chen Xie had also heard that space treasure had been discovered. She had been anticipating them eagerly for a long time. However, she also knew that all of Omen Ridge's important people would come to bid, and that this would raise the price of the space treasures to an astronomical figure. In this case, just let Yan Yanhuan be the sucker to buy it. Anyway, the Yan family is the richest in the world. If I don't take advantage of him, who can I take advantage of? She thought. Huang Yanjun crossed her arms and said coldly, you say it like the space treasures already belong to you. Hearing these words, Yan Yanhuan was immediately annoyed. Commandery Princess Yanjun, you should know that I am the heir of the Yan family. I can mobilize a considerable portion of the family's financial resources. Don't you think I'll defeat the useless people of Omen Ridge with that wealth? Commandery Princess Yanjun, please rest assured that once I buy the space treasures you can have one. After all, I am afraid that Zhang Yuochen couldn't afford them with his wealth. Yan Yanhuan looked at Zhang Yuochen as he spoke to Huang Yanjun. However, Huang Yanjun revealed disdain in her eyes. Though others didn't know, she knew clearly that it was Zhang Yuochen who had refined the space treasures. Why would he bother to buy it? Maybe it was Zhang Yuochen who had put the space treasures in the auction. All of a sudden, Huang Yanjun had an idea. She fluttered her eyelids at Zhang Yuochen and said, Zhang Yuochen, will you buy a space treasure for me? Zhang Yuochen knew exactly what Huang Yanjun was thinking. He thought it over and decided it would be good to let Yan Yanhuan, who was indeed disagreeable, pay a substantial price. Zhang Yuochen said, of course, I will buy you one. Even if I have to throw in my family's entire fortune. The corner of Yan Yanhuan's mouth twitched up, a slight smile appearing on his face. Is he challenging me? He wondered. Okay, why not? Tonight, I will teach him not to think so highly of himself. He should look in the mirror before competing with me in terms of wealth. Chang Kiki walked over to Zhang Yuochen and said in a low voice, Brother Zhang, if you lack for money, just tell me. Though I am not from a notable or great family, I still have some savings. Thank you, Brother Chang. Zhang Yuochen laughed. But I have made a small fortune recently. It's not difficult for me to buy a space treasure. I see. Chang Kiki suddenly realized why Zhang Yuochen dared to challenge Yan Yanhuan. It turned out that he had prepared in advance. He said, you have to buy a space treasure. Then that Yan guy will not be so damned snobbish. Take it easy. It will be a piece of cake. Zhang Yuochen answered. The sales room in Omen Ridge, magnificent and glorious, was built like a castle made of gigantic boulders. Half of the treasures from the 36 commanderies in Omen Ridge would be sent to the sales room. Almost every treasure in the auction block was priceless. The common people could not afford it. It was only dusk, yet many warriors had already gathered outside of the sales room. Many splendid vehicles were parked in the square, some of them were even built on the back of 4th level savage beasts. They were like palaces carried by beasts, which gave off a magnificent atmosphere. The fighting capacity of a 4th level savage beast was comparable to a warrior of the heaven realm. Persons who had 4th level savage beasts as their mounts naturally had to be very important people. Everybody was gorgeously dressed. They stepped down from their vehicles and walked towards the sales room with servants in front and behind. A Qilin, with an enormous pair of fire wings, pulled a huge, resplendent, and magnificent carriage. It flew across the sky with a rumble. The Qilin's howl reverberated across the entire Devil Marshal city. All the warriors raised their heads to stare at the sky. The entire sky appeared to be lit on fire from the power of the Qilin, creating a vast fire cloud. A Qilin? Oh my god, it's really a Qilin. It is said that, in the whole of Omen Ridge, only the Yantai suzerain has raised a Qilin, and it is one of the 3 mountain guardian savage beasts in Yantai suzerain. Its strength is so strong that just one claw can beat a 4th level savage beast to death. The man in the carriage is the master of Yantai suzerain, Han Li. The crowd was shocked by the breath of the Qilin on the other side of the sky. Fortunately, the Qilin's howl didn't carry any aggressive power. Otherwise, the howl would have stunned 1/3 of the warriors in the Devil Marshal city. Yan Yanhuan sneered disdainfully. It's just a flame-winged Qilin. Its blood meridians are not pure, and its strength is no more than 1/10 of a real Qilin. Only warriors in the Omen Ridge would make such a fuss. The Qilin folded its flame-like wings quickly and flew down to stop in the middle of the square. Han Li, the master of Yantai suzerain, came out of the carriage with a great air of martial arts. Streaks of translucent spiritual chi of heaven and earth flew around him like ripples in water. Shortly after, Han Ku also stepped down from the vehicle wearing a long periwinkle gown. She had an elegant temperament and bright eyes, catching the gaze of many male warriors. The cherished daughter of Yantai suzerain, Han Ku, got through the 4th floor of Juju Tower 3 days ago. Since then, she has risen to fame. I did not expect her to also come to the auction. Why don't I see elder brother Jiang Tangai of Yantai suzerain? Han Li always took him to events before. Perhaps Jiang Tangai is secluding himself for refining. After all, the powerful rise of Luo Shuaihan and Han Kui has threatened his status as the top prodigy in Omen Ridge. He must be under a great deal of pressure. The whole sales room went wild with the arrival of Han Li and Han Ku, especially the proud Princess Han Ku. Not only was she one of the top 10 beauties in Omen Ridge, but she had also managed to get through the 4th floor of Juju Tower. She was like a goddess from heaven, leaving other young warriors far behind. Even the 10 prodigies of Omen Ridge were in her shadow. Once out of the vehicle, Han Ku looked around and soon found Jiang Yuochen in the crowd. Her pretty face lit up. He is really attending the auction. Han Ku had a favorable impression of Jiang Yuochen, but with so many warriors staring at her, she couldn't go to greet him. They just looked and nodded at each other from a distance. Afterwards, other important people arrived. The master of Tai King Palace, Yi Hui, has always lived a secluded life. I never thought she would come to the auction today. It's surprising that the commandery prince of Minxiu, Xiexing, should come all the way to Devil Marshal City. Minxiu Commandery is one of the strongest in Omen Ridge. It's much stronger than Square Commandery. Jiang Yuochen looked into the distance and saw 2 vehicles coming abreast. Yi Hui, the master of Tai King Palace, seems to have a special relationship with the commandery prince of Minxiu. Shang Kiki, who liked to gossip, laughed. The commandery prince of Minxiu was once a disciple of Tai King Palace, and Yi Hui's junior fellow apprentice. It is said that he chased Yi during those years, but Yi, seeking Dao wholeheartedly, didn't respond. Xingkong sighed. They'd rather live in oblivion than to love in despair. Almost 100 years has passed. They haven't obtained love but deep friendship. The important figures went straight to the special VIP auction room where they would receive special treatment and personal service. Jiang Yuochen, Shang Kiki, Xingkong and the other young warriors could only pick a relatively good position to sit temporarily in the hall. With his status, Yan Yanhuan could enter the VIP room. But he came to the hall and sat near Jiang Yuochen and Huang Yanjun under the request of Chen Xie. He wore a victorious look on his face. It was normal for Yan Yanhuan the heir of the half-saint family, to look down upon other warriors. Only successors of other half-saint families were qualified to become friends with him. In his eyes, the chiefs of suzerains in Omen Ridge were just stronger bumpkins. Today, he was the real star at the auction.